Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing great. So, today's we're going to discuss the movie Buffalo, released in 2019. This movie revolves around a young woman who gets involved in a shady debt collection business. In the beginning of the movie, we see a girl named Pack who is running and anxiously looking for someone. Then the scene cuts to her childhood is shown. Here, Pack is giving a presentation in front of her mother about opening a company of her own named Pack Incorporated. Meanwhile, we get to know that her father has died and left a lot of debt that needs to be settled down. While presenting, she asks her mother to make an investment of $1,000 in her company. Her mother, Kathy, who owns a salon, rejects her proposal as Kathy is not financially capable of doing so. From childhood itself, Peck has had a strong urge of making money and finding new ways of doing so in order to be financially independent. She dreams of becoming a part of Ivy League school. After that, wants to join Wall Street to earn a significant amount of money. Afterwards, we see adult Peck and her brother JJ selling cigarettes in the school premises. Returning home, JJ gives a box with Peck ink described on it to keep the money safe. Then Kathy, her mother, enters the scene and informs her that she's been selected for a good college. For a moment, she is happy, but gets an early realizations after reading the letter that tuition fee for this college is out of her budget and seems to be unaffordable. Then Peck is seen selling fake tickets to a tournament and soon arrested by the cops and is sentenced to jail for 40 months. Irrespective of this imprisonment, she is still keen to learn ways of making more money and soon finds out and starts selling those things that prison doesn't offer to its prisoners. In order to ensure continuity of her business, she bribes the officer with a 50% cut. On a call with her mother, she is informed that debt collectors are continuously nagging and her brother JJ has opened a bar and almost works for 14 hours to earn a living. Due to her good relations with the officers, she is set free from her imprisonment. Upon returning home, she is offered a role of janitor at her brother's bar. Unsatisfied with her work over there, she fights with JJ. After that, she got a call from Sal, one of the debt collector, who informed her that a debt of approximately $29,000 can be reduced to $5,000 if she pays it at the earliest. She argues with Sal for doing such illegal activities. The scene shifts and we see Peck at Sal's office searching for his boss Wiz, who is passionate and smartest in his business. He shows her the office and gives a glimpse of how the commission section works. Without wasting a minute, Peck proposes Wiz with a deal. If I make it to the top of the board of collecting the largest amount, my debt must be cleared. Wiz shows confidence in her by accepting the deal. Soon, Wiz fires one of the company's employee and offers that position to Peck with dedication. Peck, as a debt collector, calls Big D, who is a high school student having a debt of $5,000. On his refusal to pay the debt, she threatens him to pay, or else I'll approach your mother to do the same. Big D agrees to pay, and in this way, she successfully closes her first deal. Peck has an extraordinary way of approaching people and convincing them to pay their debts. Now, she is one of the successful debt collectors of the week by collecting almost the highest amount of debt. Then Wiz furnished her with a debt slip of 1998 with a note of his own, "Debt never dies." She, she calls the involved person, and a lady named Barba picks up the call. On convincing Barba to clear her late husband's debt, she denies. Since it's a big amount, Peck personally visits her and make her pay the debt. She tells her, "Debt never dies and it will transfer to your grandchildren." She successfully convinced Barba to pay a debt of $20,000. After a while, we see Peck, Wiz, along with his friends at JJ's bar having fun. Meanwhile, Peck asks for a 10% cut, and her boss reveals the fact that they had already collected a debt amount from Barba, who has a short memory and tendency to forget incidents. Taking advantage of her weak memory, we continue to call her and collect as much debt as we can. Wiz then hands her $2,000 as her share and asks Peck to stay close to me to make more profit and get better in the business. Then we see Peg having a conversation with Graham, who advises her to stay away from such debt collectors. I am the same lawyer who prosecuted you before, and we're soon going to investigate the debt collectors and warns you to be safe from the trouble. After that, Mitch, Wiz's brother, enters the scene and began fighting with Wiz for calling her wife inappropriately. Seeing them arguing, Peck leaves and decides she'll open her own debt collecting firm. Meanwhile, she and Graham are seen together. After waking up, she starts listing down the equipments as well as other things which she needs to start a debt collecting firm. Graham tries his best to put a halt on her plans and he says, "If you go against the law, I'll be the first one to sue you." Kathy is listening to their conversations at the doorstep. Graham introduces himself to Kathy. On the other hand, Kathy is happy to see Peck with a lawyer. Graham leaves the scene. Later, Peck tells her mother, "I am starting a new business and for that I need him." The scene then shifts, where Peck is asking her brother JJ for money. Soon Peck visits Mitch with his brother. She offers a deal. "You have to provide me the debt slips with a 200% raise in money." Mitch told her, "Wiz will be mad at hearing this and will make your life difficult." Irrespective of the difficulties that she'll be facing, still asks Mitch to provide her the debt slips. She then begins search for debt collectors for her debt firm. Instead of hiring ex-debt collectors, she starts looking for people who have this inborn talent of persuading people. After this, she convinced a salon owner to change the place into a workspace office. Peck begins her counseling about how debt collecting works and offers them a good commission. Employees starts their work as soon they are able to collect a good amount of debt. However, Wiz men obstruct them by misachievements like making fun of Peck, chasing their employees, and by cutting the power supply. Following this, Peck asked Graham for dinner. However, he denied as she is still running that debt collecting firm. Then, one of her employee informs her, "When I ran through the account, I found that the money we have is insufficient to pay the employees and to buy new debt slips." She quickly thinks and comes out with a plan that instead of paying employees, she'll use the generated profits to buy new debt slips. She explained to her employees, "I did all this to make it easier for all of you to earn more money and become financially independent." Employees get angry at her. However, she suppresses their anger by giving tickets of a Bills game to them. She hands all the money to Mitch to buy new debt slips. She then goes to the bathroom, where an unknown man hands her a paper with "Bitches accumulate blood, not deaths" written on it. At that moment, someone throws a bucket full of blood over her. While watching the game in the stadium, one of the employees informs her that there is no one at the office. Listening to this, she heads over to the office and finds all her debt slips stolen. Immediately, she goes to her brother's bar to visit Wiz. There, Wiz tells her, "Not only I have your debt slips, also your mom's. So now I have your brother's bars under my control." Following this, Peck is getting ready at her mother's salon to visit Graham. She then heads over to the lawyer's office and meet with Graham's secretary, Henrietta, and greets her with a set of expensive whiskey. Graham is surprised on seeing Peck. She takes him inside and seduces him. Moreover, tells Graham to send his secretary away so that they can have a personal space. When Graham is out to tell his secretary to go home, Peck makes a call to the cops informing them about Wiz. Immediately, police arrive at Wiz's office, arresting him and his men. Two of Peck's workers enters the office, taking away not only his debt slips but also the one he has stolen. Soon, they started making a fancy amount of money. Peck is also paying her employees their cut. After some day, Wiz calls Peck and threatens her by saying, "You have started a war and I am planning something big for you." These realizations made Peck upset. To ensure her safety, Francis, one of her employees, hands her a gun. In order to extract information about Wiz and his plans, Peck takes JJ to a fancy restaurant. On realizing that Peck has invited him to just acquire information, he leaves the place. Afterwards, Graham is seen stalking at Peck's house. Peck quickly enters and keeps her money in the box to ensure its safety. She quickly goes to Graham and asks him why is he stalking her. Graham replies, "I found out about you calling the cops for my office. Meanwhile, Kathy enters the scene and invites him to have breakfast at that moment. JJ arrives wounded. Her mother blames Peck for his brother's condition. On the other side, Graham finds a debt bill of Barba and accuses Peck for collecting the amount. Peck too showed him a debt bill, calling Graham a hypocrite. However, police officers arrive and arrest Kathy and her brother JJ. On investigating, Peck comes to know that Wiz is behind this incident. Wasting no time, she runs towards Wiz's office holding the gun. Upon reaching, she fired the gun in the air and both of them started fighting. In the meantime, police arrest Peck for making a nuisance. However, she's bailed by Graham, who wants her to work for him. Peck tells one of her employees to ask all the debt collectors to come to her brother's bar as she wants to encourage each of them to make more money by coming together. Scene shifts and all the employees are watching Bill's game. Peck enters the scene and gives an impressive speech asking them to work with each other and make more money. Peck proposes Wiz to take the charge and each one of them confess their deeds. Wiz somewhere feels fishy and while searching finds a hidden camera that has a recording of all of the confessions. Police officers arrive there and arrest all of them except Peck, who managed to flee away. Then she heads over to Graham's office and tells his general secretary to get ready for a party. Peck then enters the lawyer's cabin. She collects and set fire of around $1 billion. She is sentenced to jail for doing this. Contrary gets a shorter sentence as she sets fire to the jury's debt bill. During this span, she uses to teach ladies financial freedom. Soon, she is set free. At home, she is welcomed by everyone. She is bound to be stuck when everyone presents her money for her new idea. After coming back from the bathroom, she presents her new idea called hedge funds. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications to watch more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.